Welcome to another episode of Chatty Hosts. I am with the lovely Karma and Boity, and of course myself.
Hi guys.
Yeah, and today's topic is all about environmental detoxing. So I can imagine you all who've listening are wondering, what on earth does that mean? Well, guys, get ready because we're going to get starting.
Yeah. This is going to be an interesting topic, I think. I think we have some interesting perspectives on it as well, which is going to be fun to unpack. Boss, do you want to start with yours? What is your most important thing when it comes to environmental detox? And what is that to you?
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So for me, what I really want to just highlight on a lot for my contribution is definitely going to be on our social media presence and what we surround ourselves with what we watch, who are we following? Because we think, oh, we're just following a person, we're either following because, society's telling us to, like, oh, we've got to follow all these celebrities.
Yeah.
Or we have to follow this guru or whoever, or funny meme pages. And I mean, we all have our things that we follow, but we sometimes forget that what we're taking in visually affects us. And I just feel like I just want to bring up a little bit more on that. And Boyd, what is it that you want
to... Since we're on the topic of detoxing, I just wanted to speak about detoxing from people, whether it's friendship, relationship, for your mental health. Also just bringing up signs of toxic relation or friendships, like just things to look out for, and things to try avoid in friendships as well. Comma?
I think those are beautiful. And yeah, I want to look at the aspect from, the specific topic from a different side. What it's not. It's not cancel culture. It's sort of learning your own intuition and understanding what you actually need to grow and create the lifestyle that you want. And how we do that and how we figure out what we are actually leading from fear from and what we're leading from. And how that sort of describes and creates our reality. Because I feel like it is a big, big part there that we're not even thinking about. Like,
yeah,
half the time we're not even aware why we're doing something.
I think most of the times. Yeah.
That's why we're having conversations, because we're bringing that awareness back. So yeah, I guess let me just basically start what I've noticed for myself. So I remember when I was out of school, and at that point you kind of still don't know where you are really. You're kind of just living life, trying to do you. And I noticed that I was on Instagram quite a lot. That is like my social media place to go to. But I started to realize, sometimes I would start comparing myself to certain characters that I was following on Instagram, or there's just a lot of hate, especially, social media can become quite political. There I started to realize, I've actually got the power here to unfollow and follow, I wanted to create a platform for me, a place that's safe and welcoming and also knowledgeable, like I can learn a lot. So I did the good move. I actually checked who I was following, and I started to check. I was like, why am I following this? Is it serving me? Does it give me something? Am I learning from it? And if I couldn't be answered to any of those, I just unfollowed. And I really want to encourage that to the people listening to us today, that, take a reflection. Take a look at what you're surrounding yourself with in social media, and be like, if you go on your social media and you feel drained and tired, there's the first red flag. That's the first warning saying, hey, I'm actually not, the social media is actually not working for me, it's working against me. Because guys, whether we like it or not, social media is here to stay.
Period. It's not going anywhere.
Let us allow this tool to actually work for us. Now, of course, I'm still studying my degree in psychology, and I made sure to follow all the up-and-coming psychologists, who give really good advice, sound advice, and that's really helped me build my understanding in therapy and how to connect with my clients more. And of course, I've got my other, two ventures that I'm going out there, business when it comes to finances and, yoga, because I'm a yoga teacher. I'm following accounts that are going to enrich me.
In alignment of what you're doing and who you are.
I mean, yeah, there were certain actors that I loved, but, at the same time, some of these actors, or some people, they post things that are quite just not my taste. It's not for me, and it shows up on my feed, and, I'm no longer feeling guilty for unfollowing. It's okay to make that step, to be like, this doesn't work for me, and that's okay, And then, of course, unfortunately, I'm sure we've all experienced that. There's some accounts on any platform that's a little bit dodgy or and we need to protect ourselves by unfollowing, by blocking, or and do your part by trying to make the platform cleaner.
And to add in there, I think it's also good to remember that we're changing as beings. So I find one thing that helps me specifically with this is to continuously, maybe once every 6 months or so, go through my social media and see if things are still aligning with me. Or what needs cleaning out and all of that. Yeah.
I've got something that I want to read. It's a screenshot I saw recently about social media. And it reads, social media created a false illusion of options, which plays a big part in why so many people are single, unemployed. Value what values you. Good things are rare and the grass is rarely greener on the other side. And because I've also seen, even in the youth, most of the young women don't want to work. They're seeing these nice, lavish lifestyles on social media, designer bag, and they think that's what life is about. When reality is that you really need to work hard. People post on social media to impress the next person or to try to prove a point, not necessarily because they are that or they're happy like that. You never see people posting sadness on social media. So we just remember, behind every smile, there's something going on.
And of course, it's not now we're not asking our listeners to introspect every post to post. Because some I use my Instagram, my personal Instagram, for it's like a photo collage. I go back there and I go, wow, I remember that day. I remember that time with my friends. It's really just it's like a photo
album. There you go.
Yeah. And of course, I'm only going to post the fun, exciting times, and that's totally chill. But it's important that we walk with that lens where we are scrolling through any. So it's important that when we're scrolling through any social media, that we have that lens of people are just posting their most achievable moment, and it's their achievable moment. We've got to be careful that we don't compare, because guys, comparing is a thief, okay? Everyone is on their own journey, and we cannot deny our journey. And that's why it's important that we follow accounts that are helping us with our journey, or at least just a place to feel safe. And that's just really what I want to bring out there. You are in control of your social media, not the other way around. Because I do feel that society is trying to make it as oh, look at these kids. They're on Facebook, or they're fun the whole time. You don't know what that kid is looking at. Hopefully the kid is looking at stuff that
trying to learn
and enriching them and making them more just aware of it. So, to put my notes in summary, what will help you really just kind of start when it comes to your detoxing on your social media? Check. Is this account uplifting you? Is it inspiring you? And mostly, is it upgrading you to the next point in your life? That will make sense.
Unlocking your next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And that it's an upliftment, not a push down, not a depressant.
Yeah, I've actually heard a lot of people say that social media depresses them. I'm like, how do you get to that point? I guess when you take it too serious or out of context of what it really is, then it'll get you to that point of depression.
And what you're following.
Yeah. You are what you're following.
Wonderful red flag. If you're feeling drained and like suffocated, look at your social media. Be like, what am I surrounding myself with?
Okay. Thank you, Austin. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I gonna go first? Okay, cool. So as I did say, how to detox from people. Number one, like as we all know, the definition of detoxing means to just cleanse, flush out, and allow. So the first thing to obviously do when you're coming out of a relation, a friendship that has been crazy, would necessarily be to cry about it. Allow yourself to mourn and just be in that sadness. Tears could be seen as a detoxing method, right? Accept your reality, be clear with your intentions, identify your role in the relationship, choose a way to end it, forgive, give yourself time to grieve. Now, with accepting reality, we tend to be delusional about situations because, oh no, we were friends for like 20 years and I can't stop being friends with this person. And that's just like, but what's happening right now is not in comparison of the years back then. Like the situation is different. And also just be clear with your intentions. Know why you're wanting to detox from the relation, why it's no longer valuing you, or why the relationship is no longer working, and identify your role in the relationship. Like, are you always the one that's always listening to people's problems and people are never opening a channel for you to be yourself and express? Karma. And let's choose a way to end it. Like, there's ways to end relationship without necessarily being harsh about the situation. Like sitting the person down and making them understand why you no longer see the need to partake in that relation. Austin?
But it's also important to know that sometimes you can make a person understand as best as you can. But if they're unwilling or unable to listen, you've then also got to learn to let that go.
Let that go. It's out of your reach.
It's like that saying, and I'm sure we've all heard of it before, you know, you can take a horse to the
river to drink water.
You can't force it
To drink, yes.
So I would say just be aware of, you know,
Choosing the way to end it.
choosing a way to end it, because sometimes it might just, maybe that person chooses how they end it by just cutting off, and that just happens.
Yeah.
I like that actually. It's like that understanding that where you are is not necessarily where someone else is. But you can meet somewhere where you are from your heart space and acknowledge that like that person
Just is not there. I love that. And I also really love that, be clear with your intention. Because I think, you know, we're like, hey, this is why I'm doing it, or this is the reason. We can kind of fight back that little voice that goes like, oh, you know, look at you, or gee, you shouldn't be doing this. And I was like, no, this is why I'm doing it.
There's a reason behind it.
Just for fun, because no one wants to end certain things, because you don't end something because it's great. You end it because it's no longer working.
Serving.
That's actually a good one. I saw this quote that said, most people don't think about the intention. They just react. They don't think about the intention, the outcome, the consequences. They react on emotion. And yes, it's important to acknowledge your emotion because that's your direction. But you shouldn't react to things. You should interact.
Yes, I love that. Interact instead of reaction to situations. That was great.
Sorry, yeah, like, was it responding instead of reacting?
Yes. And also to forgive and to give yourself time to grieve. Not just to forgive the person, but to forgive yourself for going through that. Because it's one thing to forgive the next person, but like the fact that you had to deal with that and stick up with that, or how do you say it? The fact that put up, there we go, proper words, love this, my vocab. The fact that you have to put up with it for a long period of time, I don't know how long, just forgive yourself, allowing yourself to go through that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's also just part of self-awareness. The minute we become self-aware, it's not a way of judgment, like, oh, you know, look, now you're only aware. It's like, you know, sure, now I see. And now I'm going to change.
Yeah. And then I have toxic friendship signs, things that we always need to be on the lookout for. These red flags that we keep up with daily because we're just trying to amend and keep relationships going or friendships going. Like, a big red flag is when they disrespect your boundaries. They always need something from you. Like, it's always one-sided. They don't take accountability. They weaponize their struggles. I tend to do this. I was like,
Actually, a good point. We're perfect. So it's about the
yes,
these things.
yes.
And the understanding that people are forgetful, people don't
We're human.
So it's the communication. So
Yeah,
if I've overstepped your boundary, but I wasn't aware there was a boundary,
communicate.
and then you can say, actually, I can't actually believe that, because obviously there are situations where the boundary is obvious and other situations where the boundary needs really, but it's the communication on that. That's the value.
Yes.
So, and being like, again, that the good friendship of the person can be like, wow, I see it. Let me
Acknowledge, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not mean that. That was not my intentions.
and having that patience and grace that will, because again, if we know we're going to mess up and we're going to be forgiving and thoughtful, it's important that we can receive that love as well.
Yeah.
They make you feel guilty for spending time with others.
That's a big word, but it's like manipulation, right?
That is very toxic. Like, it's like, why would you not want me to have a life outside of us?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want me to have as much joy as I possibly can have?
Yeah.
Why are you limiting me? Last but not least, dismiss you from your values. So yeah, those are the things I kind of wrote down. And those are things that we need to detox from as humans. Just for our own sake, our mental health sake, our own peace. But yeah, that's it. Do you guys have anything to add to that?
It all came to me now. Like, if you feel that life is getting a bit too much or we're feeling overwhelmed, an awesome invitation to correct that or to take more note of that is to take your environment.
Yeah, just rain check.
God, who am I hanging out with? What am I following? It's just all coming back together, and I hope you guys, the listeners, can see that.
Yeah. That sort of feeds into my topic of the whole listening to yourself, learning that. So what you said earlier, it's like you've got to forgive yourself for not knowing better and not feel bad about that not knowing better because you didn't know better. And it's learning that intuition inside, because you get that feeling. The people that aligned and no longer aligning, the situations that served you but no longer serve you, or the situations that never should have served you. And we feel that. And I feel like when it comes to our intuition, it's something that we develop over time. Yeah, because as children, we're pure intuition. Then we get our conditioning and we receive the education and the outlines that we're given. And we sort of lose that natural ability to know, because we do. As children, we know. And then we sort of get our anxiety. So it's like discovering what's anxiety and intuition. And for me, my biggest one for that is intuition won't need rationalization.
Sure. Yeah.
Intuition will just be a feeling of pure yes or no or direction. Anxiety, which is often where we feel the need to detox from, anxiety needs rationalization. It wants to be fed.
Yeah.
It needs to be told a story.
And oh my God, Kava, you're diving too deep. A story.
And when we're feeling that story coming out, we know that we're either redirecting ourselves in the wrong direction or we're trying to figure out a way to stay the same when we're not supposed to. And I find that when it comes to detoxing, which is so unbelievably important, we need to figure out what is just us trying to stay the same and try to push ourselves into something that's not working, and what is us actually being like, okay, I'm going to be honest with my reality and be in that discomfort so that I can create the comfort again. Because life is not comfortable
At all.
it was comfortable. Oh my God, yeah, and just in my pajamas and then
Yeah.
so comfortable. No, we'd be bored. So it's about how we approach these difficulties and all of that, and understanding what difficulties we get to choose and what we can let go of, because it doesn't need to be certain difficulties.
Yeah.
We get to choose the challenges. We get to choose the environment and all of that. And I feel like that feeds into so much. It feeds into what we're manifesting into our life, what we're mindful, what is our environment telling us and giving us. Because if you're in a toxic environment, you can't want an abundant and happy life.
No ways. It's not possible.
No.
It's not.
So what are you feeding? Yourself physically, emotionally, your environment. What's the energy in your life? And what is that cultivating? And what needs to be cut out so it becomes what you want?
I want them to say, reference the book I was reading, the 5 a.m. Club, they said exactly that. Like, you can't hope or manifest greater things when you have all these things hanging on you. When you're blaming people, you're upset, you haven't forgiven people, you're not in the right space of mind. In order to manifest great things, you need to be at peace. You need to be at a level where nothing distracts you. You need to be tuned into self. You need to let go and allow things to find you at your greatest peak. So I fully agree with that.
I love that. Yes. That's a good book. I want to read that.
Well, 5 a.m. Quite a book.
Yeah.
And then my last point for this is coping mechanisms. So we can often, out of fear or a lack of value or whatever it is, there's so many different reasons or places that this can come from, form coping mechanisms as a form of safety or comforts, but they can be limiting.
Yeah.
So what are you limiting in your coping mechanisms and what is no longer serving you? And can you start to begin to make small changes to work towards that life you want by removing obstacles that don't allow you growth? So that comes back to social media, following people that you feel an energetic attachment to that are no longer serving you.
Yeah.
Hanging out with people that make you feel needed or wanted, even though it's not serving you. Eating, sleeping, everything in your life. If it's not serving the higher environment or lifestyle that you want, is it really serving you?
Yeah. That's it. And I really like what you're saying with the coping mechanism. I just want to step on that. So it's important that we know that coping mechanisms in the beginning, they do protect us. Okay, it's there to protect us, it's there to guide us. But there is a time in our lives where we have to take a deep look at our coping mechanisms and start checking, as Connor said, like, is it serving me? And I think that, for those out there, understand that coping mechanisms are good, but we just need to make sure it's not controlling us anymore.
I'd like to try and reword that. Not good, but coping mechanisms
I need that's
They
it. Yeah.
environment. Yeah. And also for our listeners, be very clear that this is a step in growth. It is not the growth.
Yeah.
Where you are, this might not necessarily be relevant. You might not be ready for this. You might not even approach this at any point in this lifetime. But this is one of the steps of growth, is evaluating your environment and creating more space by taking things out. And that it's okay if you're not there yet. It's okay if you don't have awareness yet.
Yeah.
It's okay if you're not even sure what the first step is. But it's about creating the awareness of what you want and what you don't. And then moving from there so you can create that reality.
Amen.
Hallelujah. That was a great one. That. So we gonna wrap? No, we couldn't wrap.
Thank you for listening to one of our episodes all on environment detoxing. And yeah, I can't wait for the next one.
Just share this link with your friends so that they could listen to us. I mean, we've got really decent conversations. Invite more people to our podcast and tell their friends to come through and also just listen to us. I would highly appreciate that.
Find us on YouTube and on Spotify. Like, share, follow, subscribe.
Comment. Alrighty.